just in case I got to go to Texas. Hot damn, I'm so excited about that one. All right, man. Where are we here? There's gorgeous Jenny, Peppa H, and we continue on. Millennium and gorgeous Marie. Good to see you both. And Tony D, good morning to you. Sam Faz, Terry Brown, what's happening? And there's, Jeremy Jones, thank you so much for that awesome super chat, man. Really do appreciate your love of this show. Thank you very, very much for supporting us that way. And War Eagle, what's happening? Oob to Joe's Maine, you've got aliens. There's gorgeous Helena. Kronos, what's happening? And I'm scrolling on down. Fidgety Aura, good to see you. Phil Minervino, nice to have you here. We are 20 seconds away from launching this. Hello, lovely Nikki. How are you? Sensational Sherry, Todd Purdon, the lovely and talented Kim Jellin has arrived. My God, we got a good-looking audience tonight. We're going to kick this off in 10 seconds. Remember, everyone, the Super Chat is a great way to support this show. If you're brand new here, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, so you know when we are on 7 days a week. Gordium, what's happening? Get your horns up, people. It's time to rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. The man, the myth, and the alien legend, R Keith Andrews, is back for another edition of the ET Connection. Keith is a lifelong experiencer who hangs out with us every now and again, once a month, to tell us about all the ET stories, all the alien woo, and I'll tell you, we love to board the train when Keith gets rolling. R Keith Andrews, how you doing, buddy?
Not bad at all. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm a little tired this week. But, you know, it's all good, man. It all culminates with the beginning of a brand new month. And already we're starting to prepare for Halloween. And, man, I'll tell you, I did have something exciting happen, though. I went out in the forest the other day, and I actually saw 5 big moose, man. You look at them in the books, and you look at them in pictures and on YouTube or whatever. They don't seem that big. And then you get close to them.
Oh, yeah. They are a phenomenal animal.
My gosh. They are just fantastic. But that was kind of cool. Yeah. So now it's about racing, get some firewood for winter. Can't find any because most of it burnt up here. And, Bob's your uncle, I guess, and I do have an Uncle Bob. All right, Keith, enough about me. Let's learn about you. You come in near the beginning of each month talking to us all things alien and extraterrestrial. So for you, man, being a lifelong experiencer, have you figured out when things are going to happen yet?
I'm still working on if. No. Are we talking about disclosure? I'm presuming you're referring to.
No, just on your personal experiences.
Well, we'll start with the obvious issue. For me, that becomes just a plain normal thing. Like, I mean, the last time was just, I guess, actually, it's been slow this week because I went out last week. It was funny because I was sitting in the living room and my son called me over to the balcony door, and he looked at me and he goes, "Dad, what's that?" So, and there was a. It wasn't so much what we saw as the fact that the stars were disappearing one at a time and then reappearing a moment later. So I said, "Oh, look, we've got company." He goes, "Dad, you're being taken tonight." I said, "Yeah, I mean, to him, this is just normal now." Yeah.
Is it just you getting taken? Are your kids getting taken too?
That one I've left completely alone. Because the last thing I want to do is open that door for anybody. I will put it this way. Normally, and I do know that my father, and of course my father has passed away, which is why I got no problem there. My father knew a lot more about what was going on than he ever told anybody. The reality of it from that standpoint with my dad, considering he is the one that verified that my interactions with the aliens, with the abductions, with the MyLabs was all absolutely on the money. Of course, he told me that on his deathbed. And it does stand to reason that when you look at abductions, they tend to follow family line. And yes, I know I skirted that answer rather nicely, but
no, but I think that's fair. That's your son's business. It's none of our business. That's between you and your son. So many times, and I will go down this angle though. So many times though, as parents, because we're more adult, we think we can handle things a little bit better. We don't want to think about our kids having interactive experiences or being taken or being alien abducted or anything along those lines. How do you deal with the fact that this may or may not be happening in your family, it may or may not be happening in my family, and this is a parent's nightmare at times because we can't control it?
Yeah, for me, because this is just a normal part of my life. For me, it's probably a little bit different, but the best I can do with him is let him know what I'm going through and talk to him as openly as I can about what I'm going through to alleviate as much of the fear as I can get away with. It's a question of handing him the information to cope with things just in case.
Okay. And I get that and I understand that, but I mean, outside of being a coping mechanism for what is going on, this is not something you can really prepare for. I mean, you may have take me, I got 3 kids. Okay.
Yeah.
If, I could have 2 kids not having any interaction and 1 kid is being taken almost nightly. That's the reality and the fact for a lot of parents out there. Why would they choose like that?
There's a couple of things that can do that. Quite often, depending on what they're looking for. One child may show a more resilient temperament to be able to handle it that they can spot on the subquantum level, are more likely to be able to handle it. It may be a question of the metabolic rate of the kid. Okay, and the reality of it is this: you are right. There is no real bracing for it. It's kind of like telling a kid, and nobody ever wants to do this either, I've been diagnosed with cancer and I'm dying. There is no preparation for it. And all the talking about it in the world doesn't give you a lot to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But you are right. There is no real, this idea that came out years ago, let's put a tinfoil hat on because that'll protect you. Yeah, what it turned out they did was they took the tinfoil hat with them and then kept the souvenir. But no, there is no functional preparation for it. It is simply talking honestly to them about what you believe, about what you've discovered, okay, and involving them as much in the discussion as you can get away with.
Right. Okay. Keith, for a lot of people, though, they don't know where or when it's going to happen. So one of the things we have not talked a lot about during this show is the little triggers, the warnings that seem to be out there for a lot of people. And I'm just curious, what's your trigger? How do you know?
I feel it. And usually when I get the confirmation, I'll feel something, and it's literally a feeling. I can be right in the middle of a sentence. Because, of course, I got friends that come over on a regular basis. And I could be in the middle of a game of Dungeons and Dragons with them, and I'll stop in the middle of a sentence, and I'll get up and walk outside onto the balcony, and I'll spot the ship on, you know, up in the air. My son 9 times out of 10 will follow me out, right, and then he'll turn around, and that's when he'll go, "Oh, you're going up today," right. But for me, it's a feeling that it's almost like an intense feeling I'm being watched.
Right. And when you say intense feeling, what do you mean by that?
Well, like I'll be standing there, I'll be sitting there talking, and something it literally feels. I'm trying to figure out how to put that in a term that's going to make sense. Because it literally, have you ever felt like been outside and felt like you were being watched? Well, actually, I know in your case, I absolutely know you have.
I'll just sit here quiet.
Yeah.
You know what actually used to trigger me a lot when I was having a lot of experiences was the Pink Floyd song from the album The Wall, Is There Anybody Out There? And it would play in my head, and I couldn't stop it, and I'd be like, "Uh-oh, here we go tonight." That's how I knew. You know, yeah. I know people who've seen butterflies, or people who will hear certain songs, or people who will, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's 40 below or 40 above, all right, that they would get, you know, certain signs of crickets or some sort of sound that they wouldn't normally hear. And, you know, what are these triggers? Are these triggers implanted? Because they seem to be coming from the environment.
What usually happens is it's not so much that they're implanted as that person, when it first happens, that's the thing that's happening at that time. Okay, so in the case of Pink Floyd, you may well, the first time you got taken, that song may well have been playing to start with. And then it just locked in as, that's a marker. You know, I mean, one of the other ones I hear is when we talk about sense, okay, is the hibiscus plant. Okay. Right. And you can't, and it boils down to the first time you get taken, that scent or that song or whatever may have been playing right when you got taken. But that I'm aware of, there's no warning ahead of time if you've never been taken to say, "Oh, I'm going to get taken."
Okay, so what are some of the examples that you have heard of signals people are having?
Well, one of the big ones is that I keep hearing, and this is why I brought the issue of the scent of hibiscus. Okay, is that there's a couple of people I know that literally have said that I get this specific scent, and that night I will either never not sleep right, or I will wake up with nightmares or extra marks on my body that I just can't account for. You know, the other one is one person, he chalked it up to literally to medical tinnitus for years. Because every time he went to that he was taken, he would get this extreme high-pitched whining in his ear. Right? And it just wouldn't quit. You know, and what he told me the first time I was talking to him about it was that, you know, he would try forever to get rid of it, and finally it would quit. And he'd realize it was like 4 hours later. You know, as in, lost a whole pile of time. You know, some people will see an increase in what they call, you know, orb sightings or odd sounds if they live in the bush, especially, right? They'll hear odd sounds in the woods that don't match what they've got, you know, what they're used to, you know. But there are so many variations on what can happen. Like, I mean, the obvious one is you're driving along, and this does not happen as frequently as people think. So I certainly don't want people going, oh, if I go out and drive, I'm getting taken. But you're driving along, you hear and you've got the radio set, and all of a sudden it goes completely staticky or jumps around on the spectrum, and it's not actually that. It's not really an abnormality. It's just when you're dealing with that kind of electromagnetic field, it throws the entire reception offline.
So how should people prepare for these signals? Can you even do it?
I would love to give you an answer for that one. I don't know if there's any preparation that can be done, to be honest. It's like, how do you prepare for your father dying? You can prepare for it all you want, but the moment it happens, you're pretty much out in the bush. It's like, what do you do with it now? Because as I heard it put one day, and I hear a lot of people that will go, gee, I really wish I could have an experience. It's like, no, you really don't. But it's a cute thought. But, people try and prepare for it. And as the saying goes, sometimes the wanting is sometimes the having is not so pleasing as the wanting. In other words, you can brace for it. You can go, I'm ready for it. And it just doesn't work out that way. Yes, it happens, but it's sort of a case of learning how to cope with it after the fact.
Okay. So what about prayer?
Well, prayer helps. Here's where prayer comes in handy. In my opinion, it helps fabulous for giving the person the strength of will and that focal point to be able to cope with it while it's going on, to feel that sense of extra protection. Okay. But that could go down a real dangerous road there. But prayer, does it stop it? No. But you got to remember, if you're going to go the route of prayer, you got to remember that it tells you right in the Bible that God is known by many names try that again. He's known by many names on many worlds. Those off-worlders are still his children. Okay. So the prayer does help to give people a sense of security to reassure themselves that they'll be okay. Does it stop them? Now, some people say it does. I've never seen a case where it worked. I've heard of a lot of people saying that it did, but when I've been present when it's been happening, prayer has never had anything to do with it. Of course, we have to realize, if you're praying, people pray in the language they speak. Sad to say, most off-worlders don't exactly speak English.
Okay. R Keith Andrews is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, and we're still waiting for some audience questions to come on in for you, Keith. But the main thing that you are trying to do, though, is trying to somehow take control of this situation. Are you saying then that it's impossible to take control?
No. The trick for taking control is, oddly enough, it's not taking control. It's literally a question of when you get there, and this is where prayer can come in a lot handier than just wishful thinking. If you can settle your mind enough that instead of going into panic, you can find a way, and this is really trial and error, but find a way to communicate with them. Usually that means remaining calm. If you can get some sort of a, even if it feels like it's a one-sided dialogue, you can bet your bottom dollar they're picking up on the intention behind what you're talking about. And that will make the journey a whole lot more, shall we say, less stressful.
Hold on a second here. Less stressful how? You've just been taken in your skibbies onto a spaceship where they're going to do some nasty, horrible, and maybe sometimes lovely things for you.
And that's the funny part about it. The massive majority of people that get taken actually don't have these horrendous experiences. You hear about the horrendous ones, but most of them, it's more like, when I talk about being more like a trip to the doctor, okay, the little scoop marks, yeah, they're annoying, they're painful, But it's not like they lop the arm off, unless it's a vegan, at which point it's like, oops, well, what are you yelling about? You just lost an arm. But, the reality is that the big thing you have to realize is they're not coming down to cause fear. And most of them are aware that you're going to be edgy. This is why they put the memory overlays. Okay. Quite often you'll find the reason a lot of people mention the orbs is because there's three different types of orbs I've seen show up on camera. Most of the time it's dust particles. Okay. But there is a can we try English? There is an orb that they use that is a drone. And all it is they go down, they send a number of drones in to make sure the place is empty, right? If they're going in to do a physical withdrawal. And some people will see them. And we have...
Well, you go with that, and I will take you out there for a couple of seconds because R Keith Andrews is on duty. He does work from home until the top of the hour, so he'll let us know when he is back available through the show. But Keith has a good point. I mean, for those people who are experiencers out there, it's tough. It's very tough to try and put this all together and try and bring any sort of sense as to what is going on. So it looks like we're going to have Keith right back here right now. Keith, that was a quick call.
That was just checking numbers.
Oh, okay. So what I'm saying is, this is still a very difficult topic for a lot of people, Keith, regarding this entire phenomenon on whether or not they are taken. For those who don't know or may suspect that they are taken, what kind of tests could they do at home to see if they are actually being taken, per se?
The easiest one as far as that goes, oddly enough, you can actually use a security camera in your own room, but you're not looking for the body being yanked out and floating out the window. What you're looking for is an electrostatic disturbance on the video. Because a lot of the time what they will do, if they're taking you live, is they will replace you with essentially a dummy, a simulacrum. And while they are pulling you out, they'll be putting one in. So all you get on your video is electrostatic discharge. It'll just all of a sudden go fuzzy a little. And it may not even be it may not be a full blackout. For those that are audiovisually, capable, you're more likely to see it than somebody like myself who looks at TV and it goes staticky anyway.
Very true. Go on.
That would be one of the biggest issues. And of course, you can do the same thing with an audio tracker. If you've got a recording device that can pick it up, you may hear noises that don't add up. Okay. The best thing you can do, and it's not a question of being able to prevent it. And we just got to get that through. And I know it's a frightening thought for most people. But it's not so much how do you stop it as how do you cope with it after the fact. And the best coping mechanism I ever found for people was when you wake up in the morning and you feel something's off, before you do any major research looking into it, write down every single thing you can remember. Okay, because if you're keeping track of it, and you write these things down, they may seem totally unrelated, especially at the beginning, because it's very rare that people get picked up the same day of the month every year. It's not like getting a paycheck. The similarity.
And on that note, Keith, I'm going to cut you off right there because we do have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We are having a very amazing night with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Keith comes in at the beginning of nearly every month to talk about everything extraterrestrial. He's one of the best in the biz. He's got the sideburns to show it. R Keith Andrews, looking like Doc from Back to the Future tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We'll continue with the ET Connection and R Keith right after this. All right, we're clear.
Yeah, the YouTube channel is just hopping.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Like, I don't know how to tell how many people are in here. That's your department.
Right now, there's 108 in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. If I could figure out how to do it, and didn't finish going looking for it, that was a problem. But no, that I'm aware of, trying to prepare for it ahead of time is a bit of a problem.
Give me 2 seconds here, buddy.
Yep. Ah,
there we go.
That's how to do it. This is what I'm allowed to do now.
What'd you send me there? Oh, nice.
That'd be the first one. This is the other one I'm going to send you. Because I don't know how to do anything else with them, but...
Guy's on drugs.
Dang near, but this is why we're getting the discrepancy.
I hear you. All right, let me just check things out here. And Chad Smith is going to be the first question here coming up. Questions are starting to come in, which is good. Hi, Bill H. How you doing? And who else has arrived here? Chat room goes so damn fast.
No, that's why I give you credit. There is no way I would track it.
I don't think we're good right now. JCL Ohio, welcome to our channel. So for everybody who's new here, just so you know, we are a live radio show as well. So we do have to go to commercial break at the top and bottom of the hour, where we kind of just sit here and shoot the breeze, and sometimes it gets a little quiet. So I just want to let you guys know what is going on here, and so that way you can understand why we're a little bit different than your regular everyday podcast or YouTube channel. So we appreciate the understanding, and we know it can feel a little inconvenienced. And by the way, who caught the good show earlier, right before ours tonight, on the Paranormal Chop Shop with Sonny and Lou Montez? Lou Montez showing off his brand new lip blade that he has. He's high and tight right in this area. Very high and tight, looking stellar. Yeah, good show over there. Remember, they are friends of ours. They are huge supporters of Spaced Out Radio. We want to show them some love as well, along with UFO Garage and Big Willie on Saturdays right before Lynn Wallington at UFO Garage's channel. So make sure that you check it on out and hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. These are good people, guys, who are having a lot of fun. And that's what it's all about. I love these guys. They're all very, very good people and mean very, very well. And that's what we need more of in this field, is people having fun like that. So make sure you check it on out. And there's always, always, always Chad Smith sightings, everyone. If you need a Chad Smith fix, and you're like, hey, it's not Spaced Out Radio time, but I just need a Chad Smith fix, you go into one of those shows, Chad guaranteed is going to be there. Guaranteed. Oracles and Beyond, how are you? Good to see you. And who did I miss here? Hey, there's Swamp Dweller, our good friend Swamp Dweller. the man who scares the shit out of us before we go to bed each and every night. Love Swamp Dweller. He'll be coming back on the show here in the next week or two. And big thank you to Lori Oliphant, Space Cow, Gorgeous Jules, Cat Chaser, Jeremy, and Black Dragon for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on the show. Here comes the second half hour, everyone. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway. Dave Scott is my name. The Woo is my game. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. It happens near the beginning of each month where Keith, a lifelong ET Contactee, comes in, takes your questions, and we're going to kick things off with the Chad Smith here, Keith. And he's asking, what are the karmic laws and who are they for?
Well, what they are is simple, and you got to understand, each of the karmic laws is as important as the next. It's kind of like the three legs on a three-legged stool. They all have to be paid attention to. But the three laws are: be true to yourself first, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, energy out, energy in. Now, I'll explain what they literally mean in half a second, but who they apply to is every entity in existence. They are not relegated to only one race or one planet. They are for everything that exists. Now, be true to yourself first boils down to, if you're going to do something, make certain that you can stand up and proudly say, I did it. Okay, now there are exceptions. You don't want to stand up and tell somebody before a pleasant surprise comes up that you went and did it for them. But if you can stand up and, generally speaking, tell anybody, this is what I went through, then carry on. If it's something you're going to have to hide, i.e., if you're looking at breaking a law, the reality is, if you can't stand up and say I robbed the bank, and be proud of it and not get in trouble for it, then that's where be true to yourself. You follow your heart, but use your head to get there. Now, when it comes down to do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Now, I've known Dave for years now, had the pleasure of traveling with him, and I kid you not, he talks a good game on the radio about how he treats everybody equally. I'll tell you, in person, he's just the same way.
Well, thank you.
So you treat people, if you desire people to be honest with you, be honest with them. If you desire people not to rip you off, don't rip them off. But the reality is that will not guarantee you won't have bad things happen. Bad things happen.
That's good advice, Keith. Thank you so much. Cashew is asking, R. Keith, do you have any thoughts about UFO sightings over erupting volcanoes?
Oh, yeah. Erupting volcanoes are Mother Nature's way of communicating with her sisters, with her brothers and sisters. UFOs go over top of them because of the subquantum thermodynamics. So to take the readings, essentially take the pulse of another race, which, by the way, you're standing on. But that's what they're doing, is they're taking a look at the impact of the air currents. It's a way of them carrying a message to the neighbor, kind of like the post office, if you will. Although, at least with these guys, they actually get the message there on time.
All right, next question from Millennium. This one's for me. When are you going back into the forest, Dave, with Samantha Mowat? Oh, goodness. You know, her and I have been talking about that and getting our families together for a couple years now. And you know what? It just seems like there's a headache that falls in between each and every time. And it's definitely something we're going to have to do. I don't know if we'll get to it before the snow starts falling here in the next month to 2 months. But it is in the plans. And who knows? Maybe we just got to go up there for a weekend, or she's just got to come down here for a weekend and sit down, do some meditation in front of the fireplace, and see what kind of aliens show up. I have no idea. No idea. You never know what's going to come around and see what's kind of going on there. I don't know. I wish I did. I wish I had a better answer for you. But I really, really don't. All right, R Keith Andrews. Mondak is asking, which races mess with the United States Air Force nuclear missiles?
Well, would you believe the same ones that mess with everybody else's? But that's the consortium itself, which means it could be a number of races, but they're the ones that send the ships down to say, hey, knock that mess out of the equation. But they will only do that in the event that it is a mass amount of them. Like if it's just one missile, they won't bother with it. But if it looks like it's going to be a big problem that will actually damage the planet, right, more than a bruise, then the consortium will keep an eye on. They keep an eye on the airwaves all the time. If you think Big Brother's watching, you should see how much time these guys spend.
No kidding, eh? All right, next question from Sovereign Farts. Which alien race originated from beneath the Earth, and where did they surface from? The Grand Canyon area?
Well, that depends. I mean, there's a lot of them that did. The Chitauri evolved there. The Chitauri are a reptilian race that actually originally came out as surfaced in Africa. Okay. What people in today's world know as a dwarvish race were literally built underground. And then, of course, you've got earth elementals, which spawned from underground to start with.
Very cool. Very cool. So with those races that are down there, how many of them actually come up here to kind of explore the upper part of Earth?
Actually, a phenomenally high number of them. But most of them are adept at concealing themselves in such a way that you won't notice them. Like, you don't get a lot of them wandering around in the cities. Okay, I will tell you that there are, your hybrids, as in the, half human, half other race. Many of them will come up, and they just look a little different, but they look close enough to normal that you just ignore them.
Awesome.
But awesome. You're asking if there's some sort of real weird ones. I mean, there was a video of a set of Teklek in the New York sewers. Right. Now, they didn't come up from underground. They came here from off-world.
Right. Hey, before we go any further with questions, there's a good friend in our chat room tonight. It goes by Swamp Dweller. He'll be a guest on our show for one of our Halloween specials coming out. It's his birthday today, and we want to give a big shout-out to Swamp Dweller. And I got to tell you, man, you're one of the biggest YouTube channels that we have had on this show. You're an amazing storyteller. I recommend that all of our listeners go to your YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller, and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. You're an absolute mentor and idol of mine personally on YouTube, and I've learned a lot from just looking over your channel and what you do. I hope you have the best birthday ever, and that you take the time to splurge in your success, because there's a lot of people who are very proud of you and proud to know you, and the fact that you come on into our chat room and hang out with our listeners here on Spaced Out Radio is incredible, and much love from all of us at Spaced Out Radio to you. Happy birthday to our good friend Swamp Dweller there, and thank you so much for letting me break in there, Keith. Let's get to the Michael Leger's question. The Michael Leger. What kind of species of alien propels their craft via flatulence?
I really cannot give you an answer to that one. You know, people that smell like that, I try not to hang around. But, you know, in all fairness, I have not, you know, I would suspect it is likely. I'm just trying to think here. No, they're not actually, they don't actually have spaceships. There's a few that it would not be a shock. Let me just see. Did I bring the book up? Volume 2, I was looking at one that you might consider it propels itself that way. The one, and it's not technically propelling a ship, but the Archons, when the mature Archons, since they're a living organism the size of a small ship, you know, when they get to be adults, you know, you might consider it that's how they propel themselves, but there's none that I know of that actually do it that way directly.
All right, next question. Let's go over to Typical Watch here. Are all aliens evil? I think we need to spend some time on this one.
Okay. Number one, the answer is no. All aliens are not evil. There is not one single race that is entirely evil. Okay, there are invariably oddities. There are pacifists amongst the most violent alien races. There are, you know, you name the race, and there are ones, yes, there are ones that are evil, but there are ones that are exactly on the opposite side and extremely beneficial, you know, very benevolent. But no, the idea that all aliens are evil, if all aliens were evil, the biggest problem we would have is Earth would have shaken the entire human race and everything else off it. Because Earth itself, is another race. Like the planet is a race. When people talk about humans being essentially fleas, well, according to the Kaborim, which is what Earth is, that's basically what we are. But no, aliens are, the problem is that humans have been taught that if they don't understand it, that makes it evil. But there isn't a single race I've run into where every one of them is evil. Certainly they have some twisted ideas in my eyes, and many of their customs people would probably misconstrue as being evil. From their standpoint, it just makes sense. But are they evil? No. Go ahead.
Is it just human nature then, because we always want an enemy? Look, and I'm saying that to preface this, that I know from personal point of view, not all extraterrestrials are good. Not all of them are there to you know, bring you downloads of shiny new objects and bring you flowers in the morning. There are some bad things happening, Keith. I mean,
absolutely, there are.
We can't just put a shiny rose around it and just say, hey, this is perfect. We just don't understand. But the idea behind it is it more because we always have to, as humans, have an enemy of some sort?
In a nutshell, people have been, I mean, you're absolutely right. You know, there are races out there that are just downright nasty. I mean, you take a look at the Talon and the Vegans. The Talon are an ant-like race. They are web spinners, but they will literally take people and tear their limbs off intentionally to see how much stress it takes to do that. Now, I'm sorry, there's no nice way I can put that makes that sound like a decent thing to do. There are some very nasty people out there. But the thing that you have to remember is the way the human race has evolved, mankind has learned something rather bizarre. Fear that which you do not understand. That which you fear, strive to control. That which you cannot control, strive to destroy. And that which you cannot destroy, fear. You know, mankind has learned very, very effectively from its own peoples to fear most things. Now, fear is a great thing to keep you out of being killed in natural surroundings. Okay, but it has been taken to an extreme. And unfortunately, mankind has done a lot of that to themselves. Some of it by accident, most of it not. By accident, I bring to people's attention the idea of the movie V. Okay, it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. But the panic that it built after the fact was absolutely bizarre. But humans they seem to like being scared or startled. And unfortunately, because of the amount that's put out there with the emphasis on it, mankind looks at things they don't understand and they automatically seem to jump to the idea. And I'm talking on the whole. There are people like you, Dave, that don't look at the unknown and go, oh my gosh, it's going to kill me. Okay, no, and that doesn't mean you go, oh, I'm perfectly at ease and I'm not in any danger. I don't even walk onto a ship and go, oh, I'm in perfect shape. Because things can go wrong really, really fast. But the issue of are they sort of one of these issues of everybody is evil? No. You cannot blanket any race, any skin color, any hair color, or any skin configuration as all of them are evil.
Right. No, I understand that. All right, let's move on here. As Luis wants to know, where does karma fall into the karmic laws?
Well, karma's kind of funny because the karmic laws unto themselves are by their very nature true to themselves. Those, and they don't, it's not like when people talk about karma coming out and getting you. Karma itself is an overall, it's simply a short way of saying the karmic laws. Okay, it's kind of like if you're trying to list off all the different traffic laws. They're called the rules of the road. Right? Karma is just a short way of saying if you don't follow the karmic laws, they will come back to bite you. Which is where that third one comes in, which is energy out, energy in. Meaning whatever you put your effort into, that's what you're stacking the deck in favor of having happen to you. Doesn't guarantee it. Because the thing people forget is that when we're focusing on something, you talk about wishful thinking. Well, when you focus on doing the right thing, on making things work properly, okay, you're not only up against your own tendency of derailing yourself, but you think about it. The reason that a wall is solid is because people believe it is solid. That is the power of manifestation on a global level. People agree that is solid and that you cannot pass through it. If you get somebody convinced enough, or in a state of, if you will, emergency far enough, they forget what everybody else has to say and they'll walk through a solid wall. They just totally, because they just tune everything else out and they end up walking between the molecules. Now, yes, that sounds like science fiction, and if I hadn't done it with witnesses, I'd argue, I'd agree with you.
All right, let's continue on here. We got 5 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection is our show tonight. Brand new listener to the chat room, Samantha, is asking, talking about UFOs over volcanoes, what about UFOs over Air Force bases? What do you think's going on there, Keith?
Seeing where technology has gotten to. I hate that word. The gotten thing. Anyway, they are literally flying over the air bases, over naval bases, air bases, army bases, whatever, even training sites. They do it to see how mankind is working together, what their technology is evolving to, and where along the technological evolutionary state they've actually acquired. How far they've got. The idea is if we can figure out how close they are to making headway, we can accommodate their arrival. Oddly enough, humans look at it and go, the aliens are worried about, we're worried about the aliens coming down here. The comical part when you get up there is they're just as worried about mankind getting off this planet en masse. So they keep very close eyes on, not only on the air bases, but on research centers, on hospitals, they even keep an eye on, this is why they keep showing up at really weird hours to different people's houses, especially if you're looking at old age homes. Let's see how this race, on the whole, is dealing with the imminent demise of their people. Okay. Because many of the races are very cold by human standards. So they come over in places like the air bases. Because the air bases, if you remember, the military bases have theoretically got the best technologies for scanning for concealed, for hidden vehicles and what have you. They've got the best sonar and what have you. So if you're bringing down a crew and you're trying to teach them how to handle their own cloaking capacity and their own stealth options, going into a place that is high security on Earth, is a good way to give a kid a test. One of the most common races that you'll find over military bases will be the Martokians. Okay, quite literally, they're Martians.
Perfect. Let's go to Greg. Can the Aurora camouflage by hugging a tree, or is that Sasquatch?
That's Sasquatch. The Aurora will just tear the tree up and hit you with it.
Okay. L is asking, what type of heavy metal do the Nordics prefer? Come on.
I have no idea.
I think they're about Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, maybe a little Pantera on the side. I heard that the Nordics really like Walk and Cowboys from Hell. That's at least what I've heard. I could be wrong.
That's okay. I'll leave you with that one because, well, frankly, I don't listen to heavy metal.
Oh, you should.
Well, actually, I really shouldn't.
No, you should.
It's
good for you.
There's a nasty type of heavy metal, from what I gather, that is called death metal.
It's fantastic.
That will literally stop my heart.
Well, you don't have to go that hard. You don't have to go that hard. All right, minute left. Alien Critter is asking, hi, Alien Critter, how you doing? Keith, are there adversaries of the Galactic Council?
Always. Fortunately, we're not dealing with them here. There are adversaries because there are out in other areas, other sectors. We said this is why I tell people the alien races are not much different than humans. They still have border problems. They still have their own what we call countries, but in their case, they span over star systems. Okay. So are there other people that are complicated? Do they have infiltration and that sort of thing? Just like on Earth, the answer is definitively yes.
Well, that's a good place to stop it right there, as we will continue with audience questions when we come back on the Mighty SOR. And we haven't ruffled R Keith Andrews' beautiful pork chop sideburns just yet. So we're going to keep on rolling with questions for R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Keith is a good friend of this show. Probably 6 years in now, almost 7 years in, that he has been with me, hanging out, talking all things alien, all things woo. Come aboard the woo train as R Keith Andrews takes us into hour number 2 on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear, buddy.
Oh, you know. I'm going to go grab a quick drink. I'll be right back.
There you go, man. James Tench, welcome to our channel. How you doing? Who else am I missing here? I'm way back in the chat room here. I'm catching up here with your questions. Right now, I'm about, just so you know, I'm about 12 minutes behind in the questions. So I will catch up. I just have to, just give me a little bit here. Rage Clan, how you enjoying your first live show? Hey, Flat Earther, what's happening, buddy? Thank you for that awesome super chat, man. Appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry, if I'm kind of looking away here, I'm looking at the chat room, seeing if Jazz, how are you? Seeing if I missed anybody, because I always like to say hello. Taywaz, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. The sensational Susan B has arrived. Thank you for joining us, Susan. And let's see here. Yeah, the show always goes fast with Keith on here. It really does. You guys got some great questions coming up, so just bear with me. Like I said, I'm way behind in the chat room. And Bassmaster, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. And Spooky Morales, thank you so much for that awesome super chat, man. Really do appreciate your love and support of this show, brother. Thank you. Joshua S., how you doing? Rayvon is Ryan. How you doing, buddy? Noble Patrick, good to see you, brother. Major Lee, reborn from ash. What's happening? Stevie Franchise, what's happening? Good to see you. And that's where we're caught up. That's where we're caught up to. Don't forget, John Hudson will be here for the Unbiased UFO Report. And, of course, there is an after show. Once again, every Friday night, we do an after show. This is not going to be a long one. And the main reason why is I got to be up at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Yes, first morning hockey practice for my son. Loving it. Loving it. This is what it's all about. So, yeah, I got to be up early, but we will do the after hours show. And probably for an hour and hang out there. So if you want to hang out with us after the show, that's where we'll be. We'll take your questions and your comments and everything like that. We got about 4 minutes, Keith.
Yep, no problem. Just calling up a couple of pieces of information. I like the fact you put that question up because it meant that I got a chance to look for them.
Oh, hey, Clam. Thanks for that password. Hey, B. Hoff, good to see you. Mandingo, what's happening? Samantha and Lynn are this weekend on Sunday. Yes. I want to say a big thank you here as I scroll way up here because I got to go 12 minutes behind here in order to get to the questions. Keith, we're going to have to race through some of these to catch up.
Absolutely.
Okay, but a big thank you to Spooky, to Flat Earther, Lori, Space Cow, Jules, Cat Chaser, Jeremy, and Black Dragon for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on Spaced Out Radio each and every month here and each and every night, and we really do appreciate it. Don't forget that you can get your awesome swag by going to our website, spacedoutradio.com. Check out our store. So go to the shop on the top. It'll say shop. Go there. We got some incredible swag for you, not just T-shirts. If you click on a logo you like, you can scroll down and see what other products we have on that logo. That would be great, and I think you'll really enjoy it. And I want pictures when you buy your swag. I want pictures of you wearing it or pictures on how you are looking for Spaced Out Radio. We want to make sure that we get a big audience content on our website of you enjoying the show. So, you know what? Send those pictures in. We'd appreciate it. You can send them right in on the website, and we'll get them up there eventually. I'm having a lot of fun tonight, man. A lot of fun tonight. This is just a great show. R Keith Andrews is one of our best guests that we have, and just enjoy. Pick up the hair and show him the pork chops there, because we got to get going right now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Thank you to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam, he set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Hey Metallics is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Keith comes in near the beginning of each month to talk about strange things happening from the aliens above and from time travel, inner Earth, wherever they are. Keith, we're going to continue on with audience questions here. This one coming from James. What are orbs? What race has the largest individuals? So two separate questions there.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Orbs are the racial name is a Vorosic, and they are literally an energetic orb. Okay, that'll be the first answer. Okay, you do have the other side of it. The largest race, well, it's a little bit of a toss-up. The Caboran, which are planets, are just about the largest, but the Archons, which start out the size of a parasite, are bigger than the Caboran when they actually grow to full size. And of course, then we have the Anunnaki, which everybody has looked at. The Anunnaki are, by human standards, they're the largest bipedal humanoid race. Okay, although the Drakes do run a close second, they're the largest reptilian race.
Okay, perfect. Let's move on here. Yola Tango is asking, how do the planet races mate?
They are, what is the term it's called? I'm looking for the actual term, and I'm drawing a complete blank. They literally will dislodge a part of them, and that part will grow. I forget what it's called when a race does that of its own accord.
Okay.
I was going to say mitosis, but that's wrong. There's a scientific term that actually refers to it quite nicely.
Spooky is asking, what is it that skeptics don't get when they ask, where are your photos, videos of your experiences?
Oh, that's the easy part. They don't get that I don't have them. They have this, skeptics have this thing that if you can't show it in physical form, it didn't happen. Right. And, the reality is I just don't have them. It boils down to, number one, technology for me doesn't work as well as I'd like it to most of the time. But much more importantly, I came to the conclusion that I didn't actually require it. Now, I did get one I shared with Dave years ago. Right. That I went out of my way to get. With the Pleiadian hybrid. But on the whole, I don't have photos. And that's what skeptics aren't getting.
For you, and let me add this to it, for you, it's not a matter of trying to prove it to anybody. It's a matter of, for you, improving your own communication.
Ultimately, yes.
All right. Next question from Sovereign. Which alien species mutilate and eat humans?
Well, mutilate is another question, but as far as humans go, the Teklik are the most well-known for it. Because they find humans are rather tasty. Okay, they're the ones you really don't want. I mean, they will. The lichen whale. Okay, there's another term for it, but any of the carnivorous ones will eat humans if they can get away with it. But when you're taking a look at the Muldocs and the Teklik, they literally will hunt them for food. Now, it's not called much of, and the Teklik just simply abduct you and away they go. The Muldoc will actually come down to Earth and use Earth as a hunting ground. Fortunately, that takes a whole lot of finagling to actually be able to get it. Okay, and to be able to actually do that. It doesn't, when we talk about Earth being protected, it's not 100% guarantee that nobody gets onto it. I mean, let's face it, Earth is kind of a big place.
Very true. Very true. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Rage Clan is asking, what strange craft are going in and out of the oceans and seas?
That depends on the part of the ocean and sea we're talking about. As in where on Earth. Because there are, you might be dealing with Archons, you may be dealing with the seafaries, and of course, when you start looking at the merfolk, they don't exactly come out with ships. Okay, the merfolk themselves you may be spotting them, and of course, the water elementals are a good example of something, and it's not a ship; it's an entity. It's just mankind has this idea that if you don't have a ship, you can't go into different mediums of travel. But that's understandable. Mankind is kind of a young race.
Very understandable. Very understandable. All right, let's move on here. Space Cow is asking, how many types of cloaking are there?
That I can think of right offhand? I can think of 4 right off the bat. You've got triphasic, which really boils down to they alter their vibratory rate and they just move so quickly you cannot see them. There is sonic cloaking. There's also optical cloaking. Sonic cloaking, meaning they create a sonic field, a sound wave around you that you can't see through. Or around them rather, that you can't see through. Okay, there is also, what is it called? Looking for the name for it. They literally draw the clouds around them to cloak themselves in the clouds. Okay. So, I mean, there's a number of other, the idea of true cloaking. There is, of course, the photo cloaking, which literally means, and mankind has this, okay, where they literally set up an array of cameras on the front of their ship and project Well, they set up the cameras behind them, and they project to the front of the ship what is behind them. Net result, when you're looking at them from any angle, you're seeing what's beyond the ship and you can't see them at all. So you have to watch for a discrepancy in what's showing up and vanishing.
All right, Nicola is asking, which race out there is the most technically advanced?
Now, that one, I keep calling them the mechanoids, and the mechloids are a real nasty race. Technologically, they are far further advanced than most. What they are, they're actually going into the second book. But well, I'm sure you did. If you ever watched the show Batteries Not Included, okay, from way back in the 90s, I think it was. Right. They did a reasonably good job in coming up with the idea. They're not quite that cute, by the way. But they are probably the most technologically advanced, depending on how you look at it. Now, there is another race, and that's why I said it was a good thing I opened this up, because I keep looking at it going, I've got to remember these names sometimes. Here we are. They are called the Xenon, and they literally look, if you will, kind of similar to what the Transformers do, without half the decent side of them. That is the race that is causing the problem for the Tech-like, which is what drove the Tech-like here in the first place. Okay, so technologically, they are debatably amongst the most advanced. Primarily because, well, they're living metal and they are only technology.
Right. Okay, well, let's move on here, my friend. As we continue on here, this one goes to Sovereign. How do the reptoids clone a hologram of our bodies so instantaneously?
Well, we have 3D printing. Theirs is more effective. That's pretty much the easiest way to put it. Because you got to remember, they're not making these things so they can interact. Okay, what you'll find with some people when they've been taken is whoever lives with them says, I couldn't get them to wake up at all. And that's because they're not designed to be animated. They are simply a shell that is built to breathe, so it looks like it's breathing. Right, but doesn't do anything. So waking it up, it's kind of like grabbing hold of your pillow and shaking it and hoping it's going to get up and move. And then being scared half to death when it does.
All right, follow-up from Sovereign. How are aliens getting into the sewer systems? Are they coming up from the ground? Did the aliens actually build the sewer systems to siphon our excrement?
Number one, the aliens didn't build the sewer systems, period. Mankind built their own. Sometimes mankind, in their efforts to dig holes in the ground, have open access to the inner worlds. Okay, how they get in there? Well, if you take a look at the Tech-like, they got in there from the exterior. Okay, in all likelihood, going in through a storm drain.
Okay.
But, do they operate, are they doing it to siphon things from man? No.
All right, follow-up from Sovereign. Can you please elaborate on the Archons starting out as a small parasite? So Archontic demons are basically bad bacteria, correct?
Well, I find it difficult to... I find it very misleading to call the Archon demons. But are they bad bacteria? No, but from a human standpoint, they're more of a parasite than a bacteria. But they take a mortal host, and they lay their eggs in said mortal host. Now, the neat part about it is they don't technically lay them in a corporeal body. They'll leave them in a puddle. Okay, and said puddle will pick them up, and then they will pass through that, and they will draw the food off of whatever organism gets them, and eventually they'll work their way into bigger bodies, and when they run out of bigger bodies, they vacate. When they get to maturity, and they're usually tiny still at that point, where they're able to sustain their own life, at that point, they will wander off. Okay. And they'll eventually get off the planet before they get anywhere near size. They usually end up riding evaporating water into the higher stratosphere and then breaking off on the upper winds. Then once they get outside, now at that point, they're now feeding off of the solar energy and off of the particle of the interstellar particulates until they get to the size where they literally will feed off of a Caboran. Nasty problem there is if the Caboran happens to have a bunch of people living on it, well, kind of sucks to be the other people.
True. Very true. All right. Gaping Hole is asking, what's more special, mankind or this planet?
In whose opinion?
I don't know. Yours.
Sadly, you're not. In my opinion, it's very simple. The planet. And that sounds really cold, but understand, the planet is not trying to kill other planets. Humans have this incredible capacity of treating each other like absolute doorknobs and then wondering why their world goes upside down. Now, I don't know if I want to call them more special, but I'm more connected to the planet than I am to people. And yes, I realize what that sounds like.
Mm-hmm. I get you. All right. Eddie is asking, which sect of aliens built the pyramids, in your opinion?
A little hard to call them aliens. Humans. It's just they were humans before mankind lost a lot of its technological capacity. See, if you want to chalk it up to aliens, the Mobians, which left Earth centuries ago, are actually the ones technically that built them. How they managed to maintain, how they managed to get them to stay after the race collapsed is a brilliant question. I love it, and I haven't figured that one out yet. And even the Mobians I've talked to haven't figured out why those particular buildings stayed put. Except for the fact that they were repositories of incredible information. Way more than what mankind has deciphered thus far. The hieroglyphics built inside them are part of the reason that the pyramids stayed intact. Is because of the way that they were configured. But it wasn't technically aliens that built them at all.
All right. Question from Joe on Facebook. Keith, what do you think about the quarter experiment? Does it work? Are there any other techniques to detect abductions? Now, Joe is the guy who I told to put quarters on his nightstand to see if they stacked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they worked for him. He's just in big-time denial that he's got aliens.
Well, I'm not the one to tell him whether he does, but
I will.
Said,
I will.
I know you will. And I'm not arguing that point at all. But as far as does it work, the answer is absolutely. Because it doesn't take much to actually pick them up and stack them. You know, it's a very simple way. And the funny part about it is that only works if the alien wants to let you know he was there. Okay, something I've told other people to use is take a light picture frame and stand it on your frame, like put talcum powder or better yet cornstarch on the table, and set a light picture frame on said cornstarch, right? Someplace where you won't accidentally run into it. Therefore, if it gets bumped, it'll move, and when you look at it, it'll have clearly moved, and the cornstarch will tell you it's been moved.
Right.
This will tell you somebody extra was in the house.
That makes sense. Yeah, the coin experiment, just so people know, that's where you take a couple of coins and you lay them down flat side by side. And then if you think you are having any sort of ET contact, what you want to do is you want to put it out to yourself before you go to bed, almost in a prayer type form, and say, look, if you are taking me, please stack the coins. And if I get back and you haven't stacked them, allow me the ability to stack them so that way I know. Many people that we have introduced this to during the show over the years have tried this with success, where they wake up in the morning and they have no recollection, only that something weird seemed to happen, and they get back and they look on their desk and the coins are stacked. So what you want to do, though, is you want to put them far away enough from your bed or you're on the far part of your nightstand, so that way there's a little less chance of them being bumped or you subconsciously doing it. So that's just the way we go with it. All right, let's go to Lazarus here. Lazarus is asking, can you ask if the moon was put in place by aliens or was it always there?
Well, it wasn't exactly always there, but it wasn't put there by aliens. Had something to do with the way that the entire system was set up, much like an electron leaving an atom and reconnecting with another atom. The moon was basically, it was part of another system, be it an asteroid, be it exactly where it originated, I don't know. But it got into the right orbit and hit the right spot, and net result, here it is. Was it actually drawn in there by aliens? Not from my understanding.
All right, let's continue on here. Samantha says, wish we could come up with a plan to turn the tables on the abductions by somehow trapping the abductor. Reverse abduction, anybody?
Already being done.
By who?
Well, aside from other races, humans have captured a number of off-worlders. They're just not telling you about it, and they're not about to admit it. Not yet, anyway.
Spaghetti is asking, what species is showing humans their hybrid children?
That would be the Greys. The Zeta Reticulans. They're the most common. The Nordics are involved in it. Some of the reptilian races, as in the Thrasazians, will. Okay. You certainly won't get the Teklex showing you. And, of course, the Pleiadians absolutely will periodically do so. But it's not every race that'll do it, because it revolves around realizing the other race has to realize and has to understand the importance of that human bonding with the child. The parents bonding with the child for the child to adapt properly. It's part of the cultural training, which is why I said first off that the Greys are the primaries.
All right, we've got a minute left. Let's try and sneak in one more here. Luis is asking, does the planet Nibiru actually exist? Also, does it ever come to our solar system, as I've heard?
Well, first of all, the planet Nibiru technically isn't a planet, it's a ship. Does it exist? The answer is yes. Does it come to our planet and to our system approximately every 3,600 years? The answer is also yes. Okay, but the reality is, if you look at it, if it were a planet making that orbit, as some people have suggested, it would turn this planet, the entire solar system, upside down, or more to the point, inside out, because of gravitational pulls. You have to look at the reality. In order to pass through the orbit without actually doing that, it would have to be able to control the gravitational field, so it didn't disrupt the flow. And the other side of that question is, you're looking at the Anunnaki on board. Are they coming back to check on people? Absolutely. Are they coming back to eradicate or abduct a whole pile of new people? Not at all.
All right, on that note, I will let you get comfy for the break here, R. Keith, as R. Keith Andrews and the ET Connection continues here on Spaced Out Radio with audience questions. We're enjoying the night on the Woo Train. We've hit 4th gear. Let's see if we can put her into 5th by the time we get back here on Spaced Out Radio. R. Keith Andrews comes in once a month with the ET Connection. We'll be back right after this. All right, we're clear, Keith.
Okie doke. And you're running off somewhere, apparently.
Me?
Oh.
Where am I running?
No, I figured you were running off the way you put that. I figured you were taking off to, to let the pups out.
No. All right. Let me just get caught up with everything here. Chefist and your mustache. How you doing? Good to see you. And let's see who else has come on in here over the last little bit. I'm about 10 minutes behind on the questions, guys. About 10 minutes behind. Just so you know. I am catching up. The gorgeous Ange has returned. There she is. Give us a wave, Ange, if you don't mind. And who else has come on in here? Solar Warden, what's happening, buddy? Good to see you. And Benji might be, or Benjil might be. Welcome back. I know you've been here before. How you doing? James Santo, welcome to our channel. And thank you for that super chat as well, James. Really appreciate that. Thank you. And where else we got here? Hey, there's Fapster. There's Fapster. He's a living legend right there. Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. That's all I got. I'm having fun tonight, Keith. Flying on by.
That is extremely important.
Mm-hmm. It's flying on by, dude.
Yeah, what time are we? 10:30 already.
I know.
Yeah, definitely a little different. But no, if you're not enjoying it, that's the time that I tell people, if you're doing something you're not enjoying, even if it's work, but if it's work, do not quit unless you've got a replacement income.
True.
It's just a hobby that turns into a chore. It's no longer that much of a hobby.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Trust me, I hear you. It's kind of a funny joke around my daytime job now, because I'm usually falling asleep in my office.
That exciting, eh? Now, this said, if you're falling asleep in your office, obviously you're not driving cab.
No. Definitely not. I'm not an Uber driver, that's for sure.
Well, Lord knows I've been known to do that periodically myself. If it's a really quiet night, that can happen. Thankfully, where it comes to if I'm working, I don't tend to sleep deep. If I'm off shift, good luck waking me up. Of course, the odds are if I'm off shift, I'm not home anyway. Which may explain why I end up passing out during the day. Yeah, it's fascinating watching the number of questions that keep coming back.
Well, that's crazy. We got about 40 seconds here.
Yeah.
All right. Big thank you to James, Spooky, Flat Earther, Lori, Space Scout, Jules, Cat Chaser, Jeremy and Black Dragon. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Thank you to all the veterans who are tuning on in. And you always have a safe home here with us. We love you, the veterans around here. All of our new people in our chat room, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. We're here 7 days a week for your entertainment. And all our regulars, we love you. Absolutely love you. Here we go. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We love being here with you. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Check out our swag. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. We continue with audience questions here as Keith joins us once a month to talk about all things extraterrestrial. And Spaghetti Lee has a question right off the bat here. Keith, what species is most likely to intervene in human military activity?
Depends entirely on the activity. If we're talking two armies attacking each other and killing each other off, nobody's going to step in. If we're talking out-and-out nuclear war, then the consortium itself will authorize whatever race is handy to go down and interrupt it. Okay, if it's a military action that is going to damage the planet itself in a big way, and I don't mean just dropping a bomb, I'm talking about something that will alter the actual configuration of the planet, then the consortium will step in and do something with it. Now, which race they put behind the wheel, as it were, depends entirely on who's available.
Right on. Right on. All right, let's move on. Follow-up question from Spaghetti Lee. What race is placing starseeds and hybrids on Earth?
Well, it's funny. The hybrid side of it depends on the race. The most common one would be the Greys, the Zeta Reticulans. Although there are other races that have children down here. Okay. It's kind of funny because some of them actually will put their misbehaving hybrid children on the planet as a sort of punishment, if you will. I.e., we've got all these great toys up here, all this technological advancement. Okay, you don't want to treat this stuff properly. We're going to put you in the backyard. Now let's see how happy you are. Okay. Where it comes to starseeds, that boils down to essentially the same thing. Okay, because you're looking at people that have come down. More often than not, they're not so much placed here as they're born here. Okay, the Indigo children were the best examples of it. That were children that were born here, knowing exactly what they were up to, knowing exactly why they came here, with knowledge that went way beyond normal human can. But starseeds are actually born here. They're not exactly placed. The hybrids, on the other hand, are usually placed.
All right, we'll give them the hat trick here. What race is here shape-shifting and presenting lizard eyes for all to see?
Well, if you take a look at some of the lichen, they will do it. Okay, and it's not technically lizard eyes, it's just they have to be eyes to see in the dark. And the Lyran are again another race that can make their eyes do that. Everybody that has those kind of eyes is not necessarily reptilian. Or reptilian or lizard, if you will. What it is that particular configuration works really well for drawing the light in the dimmer light areas, in twilight, that sort of thing, where they literally are reflective, much like a cat's eyes, which of course does bring about the other race that we're dealing with, which are on the planet, which are Laborian. And those people are, it's not that they're doing it so everybody can see it. It's that they really don't care. In other words, we're not worried if we've got these eyes, because you can't do anything to us anyway.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Jules. Is there a transfer of power happening in the alien political system going on now to a more divine feminine system?
I love the way that's phrased. And the answer would have to be, from my standpoint, is there a power shift happening? Yes. But we have to understand the difference between feminine and masculine systems. We are not talking gender. We are talking creative as compared to aggressive. Okay. And the creative is the feminine side. And is it becoming a little bit more shifted in that direction to a degree? The answer is yes. But this is a normal cycle. Okay. What happens is it gets into a lull where everything is running relatively quietly, where the threat is missing, and things stabilize a little, letting the more non-aggressive leaders step into the control positions. Okay, it boils down to, if the society is running smoothly, the aggressive people will step back and go, okay, we don't need to be here. Let the social side of it come back online. Because you got to remember, in the bigger scale, the creative side is what builds civilizations. The aggressive side is what defends it. And subsequently, when it is childish masculine side, they destroy it, which leaves the feminine side to have to come in and clean up the mess. And by the way, that is not always male and female.
All right. Well, let's move on here. Spaghetti has another question. What race is most likely to eliminate humanity, and why?
Humans, because of generally basic stupidity. They haven't figured out that it's easier to build a civilization if you're not shooting at each other than if you are. It's not going to be an off-world race. Okay, the closest thing I can come to an off-world race, per se, would be the Caboran in the first place, which would be ET herself, the planet you're standing on. But it's not a whole pile of different people that are going to do it. Humans are their own worst enemy in that respect.
All right. Nikki wants to know, why would any ET race create 3 clones of a human? Where the ETs transfer the human's consciousness into one clone, then use that clone body and consciousness for their ET purposes?
Well, that would be kind of like, why would a human own a car or own 3 cars that all look identical? It's because sometimes they just want a different vehicle, or maybe one's having a little bit of a hiccup, so you grab a new one. But understand, they are not, and the one thing that this is seems to be hinting at is, would they use it to infiltrate human politics or that sort of thing? And the answer is no, they're forbidden to. And rest assured, unlike human laws, the consortium is not nearly so congenial about breaking them.
All right, let's go over to Spaghetti again. Are humans as stupid and primitive to ETs as they appear to be?
No, that says they appear to me, is what he's written.
Could be a spelling mistake.
Could be. But that being said, it's kind of a toss-up. But are they primitive? Absolutely. Do a lot of the off-worlders see them as being stupid? Absolutely. But you got to remember, according to the off-worlders, this is a very, very young race. And they do not lump all humans under the category being of that depth. Okay. But they absolutely make comments about it. It's like, okay, you're poisoning your own planet, and it's the one planet that you have to live on. Okay. There's a lot of races that will poison somebody else's planet. But they don't planet their own place that they have to live. So do they see them as being a little bit, shall we say, slow? Absolutely. Definitely short-sighted. But can I say that they see them as lesser than you do? I have no idea.
All right, Chad Smith is asking, was Oumuamua an alien spacecraft, and who was in control?
I'm going to plead ignorance on this one.
We've talked about it in the past, Keith. That was the big rock that the Harvard scientist Avi Loeb said was alien. It came flying from a different solar system. It was the first flying object coming through from a different solar system that we had been able to track.
Oh, okay. Then the odds are the Oumuamua was probably, I can't say for certain, but with that kind of description, it was probably an Anunnaki ship. And in all likelihood, it was one of their earlier renditions.
All right, Samantha is asking, any possibility of a secret alien base on the dark side of the moon? Seems like a good spot for it.
Well, it'd be hard pressed to call it secret. It stands out pretty clearly when you get over there. But is there any possibility of a secret one? Technically, yes, but there's a pretty obvious one over there, so it's easier to find the one that's standing out in broad daylight.
Okay, but I mean, we also have to realize too, there is no real dark side of the moon either, is there?
Yeah, what they call the dark side of the moon is just the side we can't see from here. But we got to remember that means it's on the side that the sun is from. It's not technically dark over there. It's pretty bright. But it's not so much an alien base, it's an alien way station. There's a lot of ships that come through there and they'll touch down, they'll be there for a bit, and then they'll take off again. And if you watch the moon with a telescope, you can actually see the activity around the horizon on it. Or around the fringe. Whether you call that a horizon, I don't know. I think that's the event horizon or something like that. But if you've got a decent telescope, you can actually watch it.
All right, let's continue on here as we continue with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Can Squatch wants to know, is it true reptilians are shapeshifters that inhabit prominent public figures?
In my opinion, absolutely and unequivocally, no. First of all, reptilians, I know of at least a dozen races, and not a one of them are shapeshifters. Number two, the consortium has actually forbidden off-worlders to go to actually take up public office in a prominent position. Okay. And number three, that whole concept comes from the late 70s, early 80s. It was a great show, and apparently it hit a lot of real solid marks.
Okay. Let's get to Nicola's question. You said the Zeons were the most advanced race. What planet or galaxy are they from?
Planet, I can't tell you, but they are a heck of a sight away. They are at least, well, I would have to say rough gauge, they are literally on the far side of the Milky Way. And actually, I'm pretty certain that they're even further than that.
All right. Can Squatch again. Are there aliens going to war against each other?
Absolutely. The Teklek and the Srazazians, which are both reptilian races, are at complete odds with each other. The Sasquatch, which is not, that's a whole different issue, but they have problems with the Wara, primarily because of identity problems. You know, the Talons and the Talons, which are an ant-like race, do not get along with the Vegans at all. Okay, like there's a number of different ones that are going on, and of course, the Teklex themselves are in a civil war amongst themselves because of the Teklex interest in when they first got to Earth, when they first found Earth. The Teklex were intent on coming in and stripping it, but some of their people didn't agree with it. Net result, they got a civil war going on. And of course, the Mechlanoid are basically, they're just plain not nice, and they'll pretty much war with anything that is not mechanic based, that is not mineral based. In this area, the only type of people they're going to get along with well will be the Vulcans. The Vulcans are a crystalline race. Well, that's not entirely correct. They'll get along with the Gaboran as well, primarily because it's just not healthy for them to actually go after Gaboran. You know, it's the one thing to bring a ship to land on a planet. It's another to have your ship hit by a planet.
Very true.
You know?
All right, let's get to Ange here. Keith, what about containers that are non-human for transference of the soul? Which race is doing this?
As far as I'm aware, they're not. And what I mean by that is because the soul is the way it is, there is not a corporeal form, there is not a corporeal container that will actually hold the human soul. Because the human soul will pass through it. It travels at a much different vibratory rate, where it will slide right through anything corporeal. Yes, there are people that have figured out, well, I guess there is one way they could do it, but they're not an off-world race. Okay, but it is considered an absolute breaking karmic law. Because trapping a soul means literally taking that individual's free will away from them. Remember that thing about karmic law, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you? Mm-hmm. Trapping a soul is one of the most heinous things you can do, and it can result. And the side effect of that is if you get caught doing it, your own soul gets pulled apart in a real neat fashion, because you got to understand the construction of the soul in the first place, the way it comes back together. And it takes lifetimes to do it. But if you get separated that way, disassembled, if you will, which is the punishment for entrapping somebody's soul, it will take you literally millennia to get back to where you are. Because now you got to go out and find your own pieces again.
All right, let's continue on here. Chris Moe in Austria is asking, might space, time, and thought be one thing?
Oddly enough, he's not that far off. Although thought is the root. Time is a construct of corporeal forms to be able to reference what they're up to. And space is simply, the best way I can put space is it's where everything takes place. Because there is no empty space. What people see as empty is simply stuff that is either small enough or moving in a different vibratory rate to the point that mankind cannot register it yet. Even the air you're breathing is a whole lot more active than what people think.
Continuing on here, Paul in Australia, so we got about 5 minutes to go before the break, Keith, says, R. Keith, would aliens speak to you, either through mind speak or vocally? Do you hear them in your own accent, or do they have their own unique accents?
Oh, they definitely have their own unique accents, speech patterns, linguistical capabilities. Okay, sometimes it's an optical thing. You know, kind of like humans that are deaf that work with American Sign Language. They've got their own forms of the same idea. but they absolutely have their own languages, their own accents, the whole 9 yards. And yes, you can tell one Trezosian from another because of the difference in the tone of their voice.
Right, okay. Let's continue on here. Lazarus is asking, are there also cave aliens out there?
I'm not entirely certain what he's referring
alien
to.
species who are living in caves here on Earth. Maybe
Absolutely. Vulcans would be the obvious one. Vulcans are a crystalline race that use Earth as a breeding ground, as a nesting ground. Okay, but there are many races that live inside the cave systems on Earth and inside the entire tunnel network under Earth. Literally speaking, there are thousands of species down there.
Why use cave systems? It seems so prehistoric with the technology that they have.
You haven't seen the technology they use to make those look like cave systems.
No,
holographic overlay.
Okay. I guess I can see that.
Yeah.
Let's go over to Kira here. Are the benevolent alien races waiting for humans to release their fear before making contact?
Essentially, yes. Because the benevolent ones know full well if they show up here en masse, mankind's civilization collapses. Because the entire building, the entire xeno-socioeconomic structure has been built on the idea that mankind is alone. Okay, you would end up with, if they showed up and all of a sudden went, we're here, and they're trying to make pleasant contact, all of a sudden it's not just, oh, look, we're not alone. It's a case of everything that mankind has believed and the way they built their entire understanding of the world gets torn apart overnight. And much like taking a Band-Aid off, it may be great. You know, it's nicer if you pull it off in a hurry. It stings a little. But revealing themselves, according to the benevolent ones, revealing themselves en masse would be more akin to cutting the arm off just to make a point, which the vegans don't have any problem with, but they're more neutral than benevolent. But what they're really waiting for is humans to quit fearing each other so much and get away from the idea that you have to have a war in order to actually get ahead. You know, but don't get me wrong. They know full well that mankind, and any race for that matter, has to have military capability because everybody out there is not nice. You know, but are they waiting for humans to release a lot of that fear? Absolutely.
All right, let's continue on here. The ET connection. We got about a minute left. Let's see if we can sneak in one more. Nikki was asking, why would the Sasquatch protect humans from ET abductions or protect humans from ETs?
If the Sasquatch perceives whichever ET it is as being a negative, then the Sasquatch will protect the people of the planet because the Sasquatch are emissaries of Esau, if you will. They are protectors of Esau and her children. You know her as Gaia or Mother Earth, but the Sasquatch are her emissaries. So if somebody's threatening her emissaries and the Sasquatch feels that this is a dangerous group of people, they will do what they can to step in.
All right, Keith, we're going to get you to hold on right there because we will have R Keith Andrews for one more hour here on Spaced Out Radio. As hour number 3 will continue with audience questions, and at the bottom of hour number 3, the fedora-wearing John Hudson will be back for the unbiased UFO report. We'll get to the news and so much more on Spaced Out Radio right after this. Stay tuned. All right, Keith, we're clear.
Okie doke.
We're almost caught up here. I'm only about 6 minutes behind here right now. Ozzy
Oh,
Rob,
that's
that's some high-quality ham hocks. The gorgeous Adventures with Beth is returned. Let's see, who else is here?
How are you holding up there, Dave?
I'm doing great. I am doing great. How are you holding up?
Not bad. I mean, I've been tired most of the day, but I also slept most of the day. I remember they had the show tonight, and I figured, to heck with it. I was tired. I'll sleep so I don't fall asleep while I'm here.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
That'll be.
All right. What do I need to do here? I need to bring that over here. Good show tonight, Keith. You're on top of your game tonight.
I appreciate that. The nice part is you put these questions up here, like you print them up here. I don't know if you're doing that intentionally, but it helps get the answers ready that people are looking for.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I am doing it intentionally. And let's go here.
Okay, let's try the other one then. There we go. Sure, they'd ask me a question about a race I haven't fully documented yet.
Oh, there you go.
I've got enlisted to go in book 2. Yeah, those 2 pictures I sent you are 2 out of 10 that I have. Like, I've got somebody actually drawing the races up for me.
Let's see here.
Sorry, I'm just getting the news ready.
Yeah. The heck are we? Nope, that's one side, but that isn't the other one. There we are.
That'll be good.
See, the big problem people are having with the pyramid thing is they don't realize that 50,000 years ago, humans had the capacity of physical manifestation down to a fine art.
Mm-hmm.
Because mankind has been taught that we're only now reaching scientific capacity. But the general public doesn't realize that this is the third time we've gotten off the planet that I can think of offhand.
Well, that's cool. We got about just over 90 seconds here, brother.
Okie doke.
Hey, Jeff, Steve Garvey, Ed Purnell, how you doing, guys?
Hard to believe that Bob has been good tonight. Let's not compliment him too much, because we don't want him to all of a sudden go spinny again. Just over a minute, Keith.
Yep. Yeah, we're here.
I gotta scroll back here, find my question.
Yeah, I'm glad that's you trying to find it.
Well, the good part about it is when I highlight it here and put it on the screen, it highlights on my chat board, so that way it's easy for me to find.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that makes life a little easier for me.
Yeah, I downgraded. I'm down to only 2 monitors now. Ran out of room when I got the new computer and the bigger monitor.
2 monitors is a beautiful thing.
It is. I'd like to get the system set up where I can get up and actually have. I'd like 4.
Yeah, I've got 4.
Yeah.
One sec, Keith. Big thank you to James, Spooky, Flat Earther, Lori, Space Cow, Jules, Cat Chaser, Jeremy, and Black Dragon for the amazing super chats. Thank you to all the veterans and newcomers to the show. You always have a good home here at Spaced Out Radio. Get your horns up. Here comes Bumblefoot.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Thank you to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Hey Metallics is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce R Keith Andrews in the ET Connection. Keith is a lifelong experiencer who helps counsel people who have questions about their own experiences and encounters. Keith, we're going to continue with the audience questions right now. Gaping Hole is asking, what are shadow people?
Well, what are they is an interesting question. Oh, that's what, I was looking for that. Okay. Anyway, the shadow people, it's funny you should mention that, but their actual race is the Slodar. Now, they are a race that is literally, they look like shadow. Okay, that's why they can move through it. If you will, it's almost what you would call, it's, I guess, sort of a demi-elemental in a way. Okay, but they do travel around people, they do watch what people are up to. And the reason they don't have ships, so it's a question of they come here when they choose to. But they use their own mobility. Are they a threat to people? No. Okay, they really are not interested. They're one of the few races that does not abduct people, perform any sort of experiment on them. They simply watch them. They do their research by watching humans operate. And because they can disappear into the shadow, which is why you can see them there one moment and the next they're just gone. It's not teleporting. It's because they are shadow.
All right, let's continue on here. Can Squatch is asking, what's the story of the mantid beings?
That would be, what the heck? I keep pulling a blank on that. I know exactly who he's talking about. So let's do it the easy way. But what they are is they are an insectoid race. They appear insectoid. Okay, and they are literally here from the standpoint of worrying about what humans are going to do when humans get off this planet. That being said, are they a threat? No, but they are kind of a pain in the neck on occasion. What I'm doing is pulling up the information I need, because these guys have been expanding on what I already know about them. Where the heck are we? But they are an interesting race, to say the least. But from their standpoint, do they abduct people to understand them? The answer is yes. And the reason we call them mantis, is because of the fact that that's exactly what they look like. Now, why, pray tell, is that not there? Sure, do it the hard way. Computers and I don't always get along. But no, the mantis race, they are one of the more common, the more prevalently seen, if you will, of the different races. And their whole issue, their whole existence, boils down to trying to figure out what people are up to. You know, are they a danger? Frankly, no. Not to speak of. And I'm just trying to do that wonderful, neat little thing. And of course, I'm not going to find what I'm looking for.
That's all right. We'll move on here, because we got lots of questions left. James is asking, what species of alien is Dave Scott? Oh, my.
Well, we'll chalk it up to human, because as I said before, as I've told people in the past, even if I know if somebody is a hybrid, I'm not about to say that anyway.
Now you got me curious.
You're welcome.
You jerk. Gaping Hole is asking, what does the age of Aquarius mean to you?
That would be essentially the age of understanding. Okay, in other words, people are going to start to really take a look at knowing what is causing them to do what they're doing. That doesn't necessarily mean they'll stop doing it. Okay, it's kind of like a kleptomaniac going, oh, I know why I steal. They can't stop themselves anyway, but they do know.
All right, follow up from Gaping Hole. Did aliens have nukes themselves?
Did? The answer is yes. Nuclear reaction is one of the stepping stones towards technological advancement. Okay, many of them nearly wiped themselves out using similar methods, which is why when humans get carried away with it, they turn around and go, we're just not doing that. You know, we're just not letting that happen. Okay, there we go. That's that funny little thing that I do. The mantis question you had earlier, the click clock.
There you go.
But did they have nukes themselves? Absolutely. They also had fusion bombs, and they had a real neat thing called the Nero bomb, which just literally shorted out the entire nervous system. Some of the weapons these guys come up with are brutal beyond human capacity to comprehend. You know, which is why they let humans kill each other off periodically. You know, if you're going to fight each other, better you fight each other in a controlled sandbox or in an isolated sandbox than let you out into everybody else's.
All right, let's continue on here. And Spaghetti is asking, what human trait, behavior, or custom do the ETs most detest about us? How do we change it to become more accepted as equals to the ETs?
It's not actually what they detest about humans, it's what they fear about them. See, humans have, the one thing that is dangerous is humans have an almost insatiable curiosity. The thing that goes hand in hand with that is humankind's ability to tap into what humans call zero-point energy. Basically, it's a fabric of reality that when mankind works together, they can modify it. Okay. Humans today call it the power of manifestation. What people don't realize is that centuries back, they had that power to a phenomenal level, where their entire civilization was built on physical manifestation. And that scares the living daylights out of a lot of the off-worlders. Picture, if you will, a human with a nuclear button, with the nuclear football. We'll give it to a 2-year-old along with the passcodes and see what happens when they get annoyed.
All right, moving on. Judith wants to know, what is the mission of Dogmen?
That one I'm still working on. It's not so much a mission of them, but if I understand it correctly, the Dogmen are probably like it. Okay. There's another term for it. That's actually the wrong term. But they are, basically, they actually come from, as near as I piece together, they come from Lyra. But, as near as I understand it, it is more a research thing than anything else.
Okay. Let's move on here to another question. Mondak is asking, what type of character does R Keith Andrews play in Dungeons and Dragons? What rule system does he use?
Well, the character, the one I'm running right now, I'm actually playing Starfinder right now, and I'm playing a Skittermander Vanguard. Okay, in standard D&D, we still actually play in a combination of the version 2 and 3, with a whole pile of modifications drawn from other systems. And the character I'm running there right now is human. See, the neat thing about that is with the gaming systems, especially in D&D, humans actually have qualities that other races don't have. Not the least of which is the versatility. Yes, I could go down a very long conversation.
I could tell.
But,
I could tell. I could tell. One of these days on your own YouTube channel, you need to show all the characters that you've created and painted in your action figures.
I will make a point of doing that.
That would be great.
I actually, what do I got here? I've got a list around here of things that people have asked me to deal with.
You better get going on that, buddy. Jeff, by the way, is asking Keith, what do off-world guys think of the American Space Force?
That's kind of like from their standpoint, it's a Space Force, and the humans are very happy with it. But when you talk to the more cynical or the more militarily minded, they look at it and going, "That's a Space Force." And you actually have the nerve to get off your planet? Way to go. That's guts. Stupid, but it's guts.
Right? All right, let's move on to another one here. Chris Moe in Austria. How many species you know of, R. Keith, that are not humanoid? How do they look?
Now, there's a very long conversation. Number one, about, as near as I can figure, about 40, maybe 50% of the ones I know that I've personally dealt with are not humanoid. Okay, and how they look depends entirely on what they, on which race we're talking about. I mean, for instance, if we take a look at the Fuente Ren, technically they're humanoid, but their entire metabolic system is completely mucked up. You know, the Udina look like they are a septipod, meaning they've got 7 limbs. You know, then you take a look at the Korlok. Well, the Korlok are an oversized amoeba. They do not have a physical form, period. You know, there are a number of them that literally they take a bipedal form sometimes, because humans can relate to it a little bit more readily. Okay, the Zerziks literally are nothing but a spark. Okay, like there's no physical form to them per se. Same problem you have with air elementals, water elementals. They don't have a physical form, as it were. But I've seen ones that are very much crustacean based, or they appear crustacean based. Okay, there are many that are animal based. I call it based because that's what they look like and what they're similar to. And of course, if we take a look at the Spirinoctin, literally you could mistake them for a button mushroom. Like, that's literally what they look like. It's funny because these ones I'm talking about, the Spirinoctin, the Vecnae, the Tolek, are non-humanoid at all. They're actually all plants. Okay. But about half of them are non-bipedal. I think that's the best way to put it.
Okay, let's move on. Aussie Rob is asking, Keith, are dream encounters of alien craft still an encounter?
In my opinion, yes. And the reason for that is quite often the actual encounter is shrouded in dream form. It's a mental overlay to try and leave people with a semblance of normalcy in their day-to-day life, to cause as little disruption as they can get away with.
Gaping Hole is asking, are jinn aliens?
Only in as much as they aren't from here. So technically the answer is yes. They are another race. The jinn have a real neat setup. Okay, like their abilities go way beyond what humans call normal, right into what humans would classify as magic.
Judith is asking, where can we get Keith's Almanac of Races?
That's the easy part. If you can contact me directly through here, through the comment. If you look me up on YouTube, on Inner Voice Enterprises, you can find a way to order it from me there. Okay, and I will be more than happy to set you up with it. I do take PayPal. And yes, quite frankly, at this point, I ship pretty much anywhere in the world. I'd ship it off-world, but that's a real pain in the neck to get the Postal Service to go there.
All right, let's continue on here. Lots more questions. Gaping Hole, are the small alien greys biological robots?
No. They are as flesh and blood as everybody else, as most humans. Do they have some robots that look like them? Absolutely. Much like mankind has built some robots that look like like people. That came out well. But no, the little greys are actual little gray flesh and blood snack food. If you go to their homeworld, trust me, that's what it boils down to.
All right, Spaghetti's asking, do ETs possess neutron bombs?
That's kind of like asking whether or not kids like to play in a sandbox. Absolutely.
Follow up, is it true that some ETs are devoid of emotion, much like a human psychopath?
Yes. You take a look at the vegans. It's not that they're devoid of emotion, but they are devoid of pain, which means they do not comprehend pain at all. And because of that, they will, when they're dealing with humans, they just don't understand them, so they don't register it. There are some of the daemon that will literally, because they can, it's not that they're shapeshifters, but they can take a form, they can evolve themselves to look like humans. And if they are, if they're that way inclined, they may well take the form of a human and come down here to literally exercise their homicidal tendencies. Now, do understand, human psychopaths are a real human phenomenon. Not every psychopath is a non-human. As a matter of fact, there's very few non-humans that come here for that purpose.
All right. James is asking, what is the most dangerous alien race that you are aware of?
Well, you're going to love this one.
Don't say humans. What? They're not an alien race.
No, I was actually going to say God. Do I fear him? No. But that is about the most dangerous alien race I've run into.
All right.
You know, I mean, there are others that are dangerous, but that one would be probably ranking right up there.
So is it then, and I can understand why you're saying that, but, you know, people, for the most part, don't have a fear of God. They do have a fear of something with little black eyes coming into their bedrooms at night or stalking them in a forest.
Absolutely they do. Sorry, I have a tendency of taking things a little too literally.
Oh, I understand that. Bring the woo, man. We're running out of time. We got 3 minutes. Bring that woo.
With that in mind, probably the most fearing the Moldok are one of the nastiest from a human standpoint. You know, they are avid hunters of people. Of course, they will only hunt people out in the bush. And the nice part there is they don't hunt unarmed people. You know, they just don't. But they are, when you take a look at them, they are frightening to look at. Okay, the Terran are they're a reptilian type race. When you're looking at appearances, they can be absolutely frightening beyond belief.
Okay. We got 2 minutes left. We got time for probably one more question here, Keith. And we'll go to Behoff. Why do some aliens smell identical to demons or negative spirits? Maybe ET is a disguise?
Well, some ETs smell identical to demons because demons are an ET race. They're an off-world race. And when you're dealing with negative spirits, you got to understand, every emotion has a scent. Okay, so if you're dealing with a negative spirit, you're going to smell the fear and the anger and the, whatever the debauchery is that they carry with them. You're going to smell it on them, very much like cancer has a smell. But this is why you're different. Is ET, maybe ET is a disguise? No, ET simply refers to a non-terrestrial, a non-Terran-born entity. But the thing is, all negative entities are not daemons, and all daemons are not negative. Some of them are twisted, but they're not negative. But they do have this tendency of their whole idea of a promotion is you kill the guy that's above you. If you want to get a promotion, take out the guy above you.
Very true. All right, buddy. It is that time once again where we got to prepare to say goodnight to you and let everybody know where they can find your books, your channel, everything.
Absolutely. If you look up on YouTube, look up Inner Voice Enterprises, and you'll find on every one of the videos at the bottom, there's a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me. Okay, you can also look up under R Keith Andrews. You'll find some of the videos that way. And, of course, you'll find me on Facebook by the same name. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. They're all there.
Always appreciate you, my friend. Always appreciate you. And thank you once again. And we will talk to you next month for another edition of the ET Connection. And we absolutely love you, man. And thank you for another great show in letting us ask you a bunch of extraterrestrial questions. Coming up next, the fedora-wearing John Hudson returns for the unbiased UFO report. We'll get to Shirky Poo's news as well. So come hang out with us. We got a lot more show. Stick around. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, buddy, we're clear.
Okie doke.
Great show, Keith. Fantastic show.
Really nice run.
That was good. That was good. It was almost as tight as Thomas Fessler's hairdo.
Yeah? Haven't
Tight.
seen it.
Oh, he's high and tight. High and tight on the hair, that's for sure. Very smooth. Very smooth. Nicholas Renaud, what's happening? By the way, Thomas Fessler will be a guest on this show this Friday the 8th. And if you haven't heard his show, Disclosure Tonight, it's usually on right before us on YouTube on his Thomas Fessler channel. It's a great show. He puts on great product, great knowledgeable people coming on, interviews, everything. I usually listen to it before each show that I go into every night. And I'll tell you, very smart, classy guy, Thomas Fessler. So make sure you go and hit his channel up, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. You know me, I only promote shows that are high quality and high standard. Thomas Fessler's Disclosure Tonight is one of them. UFO Garage, if you haven't signed up there, make sure you do. If you haven't signed up for the Paranormal Chop Shop with Sonny and Lou Montez, and Lou Montez's lip blade, which is nice and tight, sharp as a knife. You want to do that too. That's a lot of fun there as well. So make sure you hit up all three of those shows. That's good entertainment for you. Keith, I'm going to have to say goodnight to you. I got to get ready for the news, brother.
Well, thank you so much. Pleasure again.
Absolutely. Absolutely, bro. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Absolutely.
Be
you
safe.
take care.
Be safe, brother. All right, that's R Keith Andrews, everyone. God, I love that guy. Absolutely love him. He was on his game tonight. On his game. There's Stetson John, a.k.a. Fedora John.
How you doing, sir?
Living the dream.
There you go.
Yep. Yep, living the dream.
It's one of the things I wish I'd been taught when I was a kid, is that happiness only comes from one place, and that's inside you. Happiness is a push. It's not a pull.
It is also an adventure and a journey.
Agreed.
Sovereign Cosmic says, rip a fart, John. Dirty Filth, what's happening, brother? What is happening? Hi,
Okay, did you
Sandra.
see that video
Hi,
of
Sandra.
that-
Hi, Sandra.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you see that video of that guy catching that alligator in the garbage can?
No.
Oh man, I'll find it and I'll send it to you. It's awesome. He actually like slides this garbage can forward and gets his alligator into it and pulls the thing up so the alligator goes flipped over. And boy, man, I was, I figured it was 50-50. We were going to watch him get eaten.
All right. Boy, you must hate me with that first topic for tonight. Oh, my goodness. And, John, I can only do about an hour for the after party or the after
no worries,
show.
man.
I got to get up. My boy has hockey practice at 8 a.m. So, I got to get up. You know what? Fuck it. We'll just go as long as we want.
No, dude, I don't mind stopping early. I just don't understand you parents that let your kids play sports. It seems to just really cut into your personal lives.
Yeah, but my son, you know what? When you see my son come off the ice and he has that giant grin on his face, he's having fun. Mm-hmm. That's what I care about. And I grew up in a hockey family. So
I thought you said hockey wasn't supposed to be fun, Dave.
It's fun when you work hard and you're accomplishing and you're learning.
I know, dude. I'm just giving you crap.
Hey, Thomas Fessler. Thomas Fessler, if you're still around, if you want to join us for the after party in half an hour, you're more than welcome to. Let me know and I'll send you the link. Hey, Jay Fox Hunter, how you doing, buddy? Kira, you stop it. You're just being trouble. You're just trouble. All right. All right. We got 14 seconds. Thank you to Black Dragon, Jeremy, Cat Chaser, Jules, Space Cow, Lori, Flat Earther, Spooky, and James. Here we go with the final half hour, guys. Then we'll go to the after show. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott, guy with an itchy mustache. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. It is time once again for the fedora-wearing John Hudson to bring us the unbiased UFO report. This is where we get into all the latest UFO news going around the world as we speak. And topic number one is a hot button topic with me. And I know John only put it in there to piss me off. Only put it in there to piss me off. And I know this for a fact because Demi Lovato's new television show, Unidentified, which was on the Peacock network in the U.S., well, it made its premiere, its debut. And I'm going to tell you, there's not a lot of people in the UFO world who really enjoyed it. But
did you get to see it?
I did not, because I'm in Canada and we don't get the Peacock network. So I'm going off of the reviews that I was reading on Twitter. And I will tell you, a good friend of our show, Michael Huntington, basically, I'm going to quote him here. This show just put ufology back 4 steps. 4 steps. Thank you, Michael Huntington. He was Michael Huntington was live tweeting during the show last night.
Oh, beautiful! I'm so sorry I missed that. So sorry I missed that.
Let's get into it. What do you think, John?
Well, so here's where I think it brings up an interesting question. Okay, and that is that it's now flying all over the place that Demi Lovato has come out in saying that she has met an alien. However, this alien looked nothing like Paul. Most of us are expecting someone maybe of a green or gray tinge, preferably bald, rather short. Her alien was a blue orb, which doesn't even really have any real life analog. But just imagine a fuzzy, glowing beach ball that floats in the sky. And from her experience, that blue ball, like being within 15 feet of it, that meant that she had come in contact with an alien. And let me say one thing really quick. I don't have any data to show that she's wrong. Okay. And I have several friends that see such things in the sky and around them. And they do also believe that they are part of the phenomenon. So I'll caveat with that. But what I find interesting is that we now have enough different aspects of this phenomenon surfacing that when someone says, "Hey, I met an alien," we don't all think the same thing anymore. And I think that's a little bit problematic because I think there's a lot of people that are going to go, ooh, I get to see Demi Lovato meet Paul. And then she talks about this floaty blue orb thingy, and they are left feeling a little, disenchanted. which like it was what happened to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He evidently found himself very skeptical of Lovato's experience.
A lot of people see the blue orbs. They
Yes.
really do. And
Yes, they do.
I'm going to tell you, just from reading what I wrote online, I have not seen the episode, but I'm not going to step back on my stance on this. The only reason why she has a UFO show is because of her 104 million subscribers on social media. The
I
good
think
news,
it's 115 now. But
okay,
yes, it's an
115
insane
million,
number.
whatever it is. If I could have a tenth of that, I'd be happy. Very happy. If I could have 1% of that, I would be happy. But, you know, I'm not claiming or saying that she's not an experiencer, okay? I don't know her story. But when I look at the overall picture of everything, is this a good thing for ufology? And as I stated before, I saw the trailer to the show. I thought that the cast of characters, which I believe is her best friend and her sister, you could tell that they are complete amateurs. And they're trying to act like big pro ufologists digging into this seriously. This show, whoever casted this show, made a couple of big mistakes that I could see just from the trailer. Number one, I think if they would have had a couple of primetime ufologists, whether you like them or not, doesn't matter, names in the field, whether it's Richard Dolan, whether it's Melinda Leslie, whether it's Grant Cameron or whomever.
I would have been happy with Grant Cameron.
All right. The fact is, it would have brought some direction to the show. And it would bring direction to the show. Number one. Number two, the good news is it's going to bring a lot of new, younger people into ufology. But are they going to get the right lesson from this show? Look, we don't need ufology to turn into what the paranormal ghost hunting is turned into, where everybody and their dog thinks that they can sit there and become a ufologist, because there is no educational training on this. Okay? That's what happened with ghost hunting. It's ruined the world. The television shows, talk to many longtime ghost hunters, they will tell you the television shows have pretty much ruined ghost hunting. All right? Are we going to see this with Demi Lovato now? Now, granted, we are only one episode in, but I trust Michael Huntington's word when he said it was bad. Bad day for ufology. There's no experts there. All right? There's nothing that is going to move this field forward. And I feel sorry for Demi, because this show will likely be canceled before it even gets off the ground. And it's the...
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
lucky for her, I believe it is a canned 6-episode sequence that has already been finished and is already like guaranteed the air. So I think that I think that they'll at least get out those first 6 episodes. I don't know, Dave. I think a lot of what you're saying is actually very sensible. I think that I think there's a lot of risk when something like this happens. Just like when Rob Lowe did his Bigfoot expedition, right? Now, personally, I don't know Rob Lowe. He might have actually seen a Bigfoot in his life. I don't know. But because of the spectacle around what he did, because, just the way it played out, it didn't, now I'm not sure it did a whole lot of harm, but it certainly didn't do a whole lot of good. I think that what it really comes down to is that you just have to find a few good things in it and just hold on to those, things like the fact that I think it's good that orbs are perhaps going to be discussed in a more real sense. A lot of the world still just sees orbs as lens flare, right? They don't even believe orbs exist at all, right?
Right.
And orbs are, and I haven't seen one myself, but I've seen photographs. I've seen very impressive photographs. And and orbs are a part of the phenomena, right? It is orbs are one of the phenomenons within this phenomena, right? And if you want to learn about this, an education in orbs is kind of part of the prerequisites. So I think introducing people to orbs in a way that is at least believable if you believe the person who's starring in the show, that's probably a good thing. The same thing is going to be said about depending on how she approaches remote viewing, because she gets a remote viewing lesson later in the series, and depending on how her regression goes, because she receives a regression sequence in the series. So in a way, she's kind of doing like this 6-episode buffet of the phenomena, oh, I'll try this, and I'll try that, and I'll try this, and oh, this is good.
Well, I understand that.
Is there a palate cleanser? And that might introduce, let's face it, right? If it brings in, say, 4,000 people that wash out, but it brings in 100 people that are of good caliber and end up sticking it out and becoming good researchers, I don't know if that's such a bad odds.
Okay, now I know Geraldine Orozco, who is a regular on this show, has been, I don't know if she's going to appear in the show, but I do know that on her Facebook page yesterday, she wished congratulations to Demi Lovato and put up a picture of her and Demi from some conference. I don't know where they would have met. But, and this is what Geraldine says, and I trust Geraldine. She goes, and I'll read verbatim on her Facebook page. She goes, I resonate so much with Demi's journey through seeking answers and the profound connection we hold through similar experience with the Pleiades. Demi is a special, kind, and loving soul. I support your journey, bright soul, and know that you are never alone on the highest level. We are one and hope that everyone can take a moment to check with what that really means. There is no separation between the light and dark. We are all just experiencing life through a spectrum of infinite potential. Now, I'm going to ask Geraldine about this next week when she's on the show. But I have to tell you, I think it would have been better. And the problem is when these big-name stars come into ufology or paranormal or any type of show that, that they're trying to resurrect their name or they have a mild curiosity, the first thing they do is their publicists literally block them from everything in their way. Because their publicists are pulling out their hair, oh my God, my client has gone down the woo train. Okay,
I gotta protect my investment.
Exactly. Okay, this is why you don't see Sammy Hagar or a lot of these big name stars doing the UFO shows, even though there's a ton of experiencers in UFOs, ghosts, Sasquatch, weird stuff. When you're on the road as much as a musician is, all right, you can tell they're going to experience something. It's just the way it is.
Well, and maybe you need a couple of Demi Lovatos to come in with the bumper rails on, with the rather unrealistic experience to normalize things in a way, so that then the more regular, performance folks that have real experiences and want to take it seriously have a chance to do so.
Well, the point that I'm saying here, though, buddy, is this. What we need is we need somebody like Demi Lovato. She could be a massive, massive endorser of the UFO campaign or the paranormal world. What we need her to do is to actually sit down with proper people and get some schooling in. Go for a run.
She needs an Obi-Wan.
She needs an Obi-Wan, exactly. And that's what we're not seeing. But let's move on, because I don't want to keep biting on this. Back to Joe Murgia on Twitter with his 14,000 pages of tweets that he puts out. And I'll tell you, I love Joe. He's got a terrible hairdo, by the way. That Brillo pad just drives me nuts. But he does good work, and here he was transcribing Lou Elizondo on Tucker Carlson on Fox News. What came out of it?
Yeah, let me just say right off the bat, Joe, if you're listening, I adore you, man. You are the only person I've met that is as verbose in text as I am in voice. So the thing was that one, it's another appearance of Louis Elizondo on Tucker Carlson. which, is a whole different conversation in that Tucker Carlson is still the only nighttime news host in America that is regularly taking this topic seriously.
True.
And the fact that it's still just Tucker is a little disturbing, but it is Tucker, and thank you, Tucker, for doing that. But basically, the thing that was nice was that it did give Lou a chance to kind of work on some of his, some of his like core language when it came to why what's in the Armed Services Bill is so important. And so now a lot of this stuff is stuff that we've all already talked about. The fact that it's going to dissolve the existing UAP task force, that it establishes a formal permanent force within the government. It takes it out of the undersecretary and puts it into the undersecretary of intelligence and puts it into the secretary of defense pool, which is I know it only looks like one level, but that's a big jump. He talks about the fact that, for him, this is a long time coming. It should have happened years ago. That there was absolute justified need for this years ago. And so he talks about a lot of the core points that we've all been discussing, but does so in a very polished, very clean, very concise way. And Tucker buys it all. He just goes right along with it, believes all of it. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't, but a lot of people would push back. And Tucker seems to trust Elizondo at this point, and I think in a way, that really helps all of us.
Okay, and I understand that, but when is Lou going to come out and say something epic, something that we really, really need?
I honestly, Dave, you're going to hate me for saying this, but I hope not for a long time.
I think it's great
because in many ways, once he does that, he's pulled the pin out of the grenade. And as soon as he does that, his ability to have an impact starts going downhill. And so I look forward to it. I think it'll be something tremendous. I think it'll be something impactful. I'm not ready for that yet. I kind of like having Lou Elizondo around, and I hope he sticks around for a little while longer because there's some bridges that you cross that you can't get back from.
Very true. And just so the audience knows, I actually am working on a very big power UFO show coming up in October. I haven't set the date yet. I have to get everything set up, but this is one that might change some opinions on what is truly going on. Especially, I will tip off people, especially with Skyfort. And that's a name you are going to hear quite a bit over the next couple of years.
Dave, you've been spending too much time on Twitter. You're doing one of these carrot things like everyone else has been doing. That.
I have to. Okay.
No, I'm excited, man.
I'm not saying who's coming on just yet. However, I will say that we are going to have a power show talking about Skyfort, their mission, and Skyfort is talking to no one right now. No one. And I'm trying to build this up, and I'm trying to build it up and make it happen. So hopefully we can.
May the force be with you.
John?
May the force be with you.
Appreciate you, buddy. Another great night.
My pleasure.
We're going to get to Shirky Poo's news right now. All right, let's get to Shirky Poo's news, as we do it each and every night. A Bangladesh cow that reached a height of only 20 inches before her death has now been recognized by the Guinness World Records as the shortest cow ever. Guinness said Rainy, a Bhutanese cow that belonged to Dhaka farmer Qazi Sufrian, measured only 20 inches in height, weighed 57 pounds prior to her death at the age of 2. Sufyan said that he knew from an early age that Rani was way too small to sell for her meat, and as soon started to suspect the cow might be the smallest in the world. The other booties on the farm are twice Rani's size. Rani became an online celebrity when Soufiane began sharing videos and photos. More than 20,000 people turned up at the farm this week to catch a glimpse of Rani and take selfies with her. Rani died in August after experiencing a swollen stomach from overeating and gas accumulation. Don't hold in the gas, people. It's bad for you. All right, a Turkish man reported missing after a night of drinking in the woods was found after he unknowingly joined his own search party. Bayan Mutlu, 50 years old, said he was in Kayaka for a construction job when he and his friends decided to do a little bit of boozing in the forest. Mutlu said he went back to a friend's villa to sleep at about 2 a.m., but his friends thought he had drunkenly wandered off into the woods, reporting him missing to the police. The construction worker said he woke up the next morning and encountered a search party who said they were looking for a missing person. Mutlu said he joined in the search and didn't realize he was the guy that they were looking for. They called my name, Bayan Mutlu. I said, "Oh, that's me." Mutlu was interviewed by police and released. What happened is all likely a joke. All right, continuing on. A New York couple whose wedding plans have been interrupted by border closings due to COVID held a ceremony at the Canada-U.S. border so the bride's parents and grandmother could attend. Karen Mahoney and Brian Ray, ski instructors who live in New York, said they were hoping the Canadian border would reopen in time for their wedding when they planned it for September, but they had to come up with a new plan when the date approached and crossing remained banned. Mahoney, who met Ray 35 years ago when he taught her how to ski, said it was important to her that her parents and 96-year-old grandmother, who live in Quebec, attended the wedding. She's my only living grandparent, the only grandparent I've ever known, so it was very important for me for her to be there to watch one of the happiest days of my life. Ray contacted a man known as Border Blaine, a childhood friend, who earned his nickname by joining the Border Patrol. Brian arranged for the couple to hold the wedding ceremony at Jameson Line Border Crossing, where New York meets Quebec. And that's it for tonight. That's all. Thank you, Shirky Poo, for the wonderful news. Thank you to John Hudson for the unbiased UFO report. And, of course, to R Keith Andrews for taking us on a wild Woo Train ride with the ET Connection. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone on our YouTube chat, LGAP, Twitch, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends, we own the numbers. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.